While the French explorer Champlain was sailing the shores of the lakes, which today bear his name, an English explorer in the employ of the Dutch East India Company was on his way to the New World. His name was Henry Hudson, and he was, like so many of his predecessors, seeking a passage to India. Driven back by ice and fog from a more northerly course, he eventually entered what is now New York Harbor and explored the great river which perpetuates his name. He never returned to Holland, and his later explorations were for England. But the report he sent back of the great river and the surrounding country, which was rich in fur-bearing animals, stirred the interest of the Dutch, who were eager to compete in the development of a new land. In 1614, the Dutch government gave a charter to a group of merchants and named the Hudson Valley New Netherland. Later, colonists were sent to Delaware and the mouth of the Hudson River. In 1626, Peter Minuet bought the island of Manhattan for $24, and a fort called New Amsterdam was built. And in a few short years, a city grew up around the fort. By 1664, there were 10,000 Dutch settlers in America, and about 1,500 of them lived in New Amsterdam. At first, relations with the Indians were good, and both sides prospered. But this changed as the Dutch took sides in disputes between tribes and became involved in the Indians' wars. Settlers were killed in the town and in the surrounding countryside. The Dutch reacted by pushing the Indians back from New Amsterdam in a somewhat bloody fashion, which left many Indians dead, including every man, woman, and child at Hoboken, a settlement across the river from New Amsterdam. But the Dutch did not approve of brutality toward the Indians and forced the appointment of Peter Stuyvesant as governor in 1647. Under Stuyvesant, New Amsterdam grew and prospered, and in a few years became a major city in colonial America. The Dutch governed their colony in a liberal and tolerant manner. Self-government based upon representation of all the boroughs was practiced, although not until Peter Stuyvesant was persuaded to allow the formation of a city council. But the easy policy of the Dutch kept the doors to New Amsterdam open to all settlers, and many Englishmen and Swedes settled there with their own concepts of individual freedom and civil rights. It wasn't long, however, before the English colonies, which had developed all around New Netherland, began to feel that the Dutch colony, separating the southern colonies from New England, did not belong there. Governor Winthrop of Connecticut tried to persuade Stuyvesant to surrender control of the colony to the English. Although the citizens wanted to become part of New England, Stuyvesant held out and refused to relinquish control over the colony. But in the end, he realized that he could not hold out as an independent colony in the middle of what was becoming an English world. On September 8, 1664, he marched his troops out of New Amsterdam, and it became an English colony. New Amsterdam and all of New Netherland became New York.